You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Thanks for visiting our archives for the Hispanic Chamber Connections radio program with Dr. Carlos Sanchez, president of the Woodlands-Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Remember, we are live on Lone Star Community Radio every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. If you have any questions, just reach out to us at the link below.
And good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Carlos Sanchez. This is the Hispanic Chamber Connection radio program where we feature members of the Woodlands-Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Vintage Park, the Katy, the Heights, and the Galleria Hispanic Chamber. That's a lot of chambers. The mothership is called the Texas Gulf Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. That is actually the 501c6 that we have operating all of these chambers. So our members, when they're a member of one chamber, they're a member of all five, and they're able to participate and come to all our events and enjoy the benefits of the Chamber of Commerce, of things like networking and education, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are a member of this chamber and you have not been on this program, please reach out to me. Let me know that you'd like to be. Send me an email. It might be necessary for you to insist because I don't always get back or check my emails right away. But just hang in there. We are excited to have our members on this program. So I will never say no to a member, no matter what you are doing as a business, because in general, it really does become more about the person versus the business that they are promoting during the day, during the operating hours. So reach out, and we're happy to talk to you. Today we have two very, very special guests, and so I'll introduce them now for you to get to know a little bit, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the chamber. Then we'll speak to each one of our guests directly, and then we'll talk about some other things. So basically, that's the show. So first of all, we have Erin Javiner. Erin Javiner is Director of Development with the SER, S-E-R, Niños, N-I-N-O-S, Charter School. Erin, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Carlos. I really appreciate being here.
And you're Director of Development, that's correct?
Yes, Director of Development, yep.
And I'm not sure what that means, but you'll tell us.
I will tell you. If I were to boil it down, it's basically dealing with partnerships and fundraising.
Very good. And today, Erin is a very proud father, and this is a really extraordinary moment. So you're witnessing history here on the big show because he's brought his daughter, Alicia Javiner, who is an author. And Alicia just wrote a book, just published a book, and the book is called, and what's it about, Alicia?
Well, it's called Journey to Dandon Forest, and it's about a young cheetah who goes on a quest to save her mom, and along the way she meets challenges, meets new friends, and even learns a bit of magic.
Magic, right? Now, when I was reading it, and I have to admit, I'm so embarrassed, I didn't read the whole thing, or I don't remember the whole thing, but what's the cheetah's name?
Alice.
So is there any reason why she's named Alice and you're named Alice too?
My name's Alicia. It just kind of sounds similar.
Okay, so Alice and Alicia have nothing to do with one another?
Well, it's my nickname in school, but that's it.
Okay, so but the cheetah is not necessarily you?
No.
Okay. All right, no, either way, if it were, the cheetah is a very courageous cheetah, and she's all full of all kinds of different curiosities and things. So it's a really, everything that I read, which is about 3/4 of the book, I thought was really interesting. And for me, the bigger thing that I thought about the book is you wrote with a lot of color.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of stuff going on, especially at the beginning when they get hit by a tornado or something. That I thought was out of nowhere, boom. Remember?
I know.
Okay.
But there's a reason for that.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it for
Oh,
them.
okay. So I'll make sure that I find out what that reason is. Hopefully you won't tell us today, but you'll tell us some other time. So great. So basically right now what I want to do, guys, is just tell you a little bit about what's going on in the chamber. It's really important to realize that when you're a member of this Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, you don't have to be Hispanic to be a member. About 60% of our members are Hispanic. And of those 60%, about 40% speak Spanish. So the weird part about a Hispanic chamber is not necessarily the fact that this Chamber of Commerce does not stand by the fact that we have to be all of one type. You know, I know there's other organizations that even don't necessarily greet you with the same amount of enthusiasm if you are not part of the group that they call themselves. And in this case, no. What we say is the marketplace is very diverse. People are very diverse, and it's okay to be diverse when you come into our chamber to become a member. So things that are starting to happen with the Chamber of Commerce that we want to tell our members about real quick. We have an event Thursday night at a place called the Guardian Group. Have you guys ever heard of that? The Guardian Group? No. Well, the Guardian Group does Final Wishes Insurance. The owner, or one of the, or not the owner, rather, one of the major players of the Guardian Group was here a couple weeks ago, Rick Demko. Basically what they talk about is, are you insured for when things happen after life almost? You know, if you perish or if something happens to you, do you have life insurance? Are you able to take care of your family? So they're doing a ribbon cutting on Thursday night. Friday morning, the next day right away, we are in Katy. We have the Katy Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that just started. We have about 25 members now in Katy. And that's I know that's going to grow as fast as the Woodlands has grown. In the Woodlands, we have about 230 now. So that's Friday morning. We're at a place called Rudy's Barbecue, a country house. Nonetheless, it's morning networking. So you do a lot of networking still. Aaron, are you out there talking to people?
I am. I try to get out there as often as I can to talk to people and share with them a little bit about what we do at Ser Niños.
Okay. And bottom line with Ser Niños, then, you were telling me earlier, you guys work with a very specialized market.
Yeah, so our focus is specifically on helping at-risk youth, but it just so happens that the majority of our students are also Hispanic at-risk youth.
Okay. And so in doing that, though, when you guys are working with at-risk, first of all, how do you know they're at-risk? I mean, what defines an at-risk person?
Well, a lot of what we'd consider at-risk would be based upon their social or their economic status. So we serve the Gulfton area, and the Gulfton area has some of the highest crime rates and some of the lowest poverty rates and highest unemployment rates. So.
Okay. And so how do you reach out to the people there to get them to come to you?
Well, so I feel like our school is unique in the fact that a lot of businesses, they're always trying to figure out new ways to expand their marketing, to reach out to more people. One of the things is that we have a waiting list on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. So at any given time, we have 200 to 300 students who are waiting for our services to get into our school.
Wow. And so is this like a regular school?
It is. It's a charter school. Now, a charter school, what makes it different is that a charter school, we have a little bit more flexibility in how we provide the education, but also it's with a focus, and our focus is specifically on helping at-risk youth, and we provide education, but also it's also about meeting them where they're currently at with their current situations to help them so they can focus on getting the education they need.
Okay, very good. So hopefully we can hear more about that, even at the chamber and with one of the 5 chambers. You've got to, for sure.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, and I've really enjoyed being a member of the chamber.
Good. Well, we're happy that you are. So I was telling you guys, okay, Friday it's Katy, right? Friday morning. Generally on Mondays, we meet with business people in our office. So we have about 10 to 15 people who come to my office and we talk strategy and we talk goals and what are they doing for their business and how many books they need to sell. What are they doing, right? And so we help them meet those goals as an organization. And so that's always open also to all our membership. Anybody that wants to come. We've had people come from Katy, from Galveston, just to sit in on some of these meetings. So it's another service we provide for our members. On Tuesdays, every Tuesday, like we just came from Tuesday lunch. You guys I didn't tell you about it, but we're here in the Woodlands. We have a luncheon every Tuesday. And it's another Broken Egg. That's the name of the restaurant. And basically people come in, they buy their lunch, they sit down, and we network with each other. Right? So a big deal for a lot of folks is networking. And that's part of what for sure, even for you, Alicia, it's something you're going to start doing when you get out there to talk to people. This is me, look at my book, and then they get to know you, you get to know them, and they buy your book, hopefully,
Okay.
So soon enough, you'll be doing a lot more of that. You'll see, especially if you hang out with us. So, and we want you to. So, all right. So those are the things that are happening right now for the week in the Woodlands-Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. But it's not only the Woodlands-Conroe Hispanic Chamber. Like I said, things are happening also in Vintage Park. I don't know if you guys, but Vintage Park basically is also taking off. And on 249 in Luetta, we have another luncheon on Thursdays. And we're opening something in Humble. So I know you're from that area. Planet Ford Humble has been one of our sponsors for the past year. And they've been very, very kind, very gracious, and very patient because Humble's been different. Humble is kind of unusual for opening networking. I don't know if do you network in Humble also?
I did work in the Umbel area for a while, and so I did attend a lot of networking events there.
Okay, so it is possible.
It
Well,
definitely is possible, absolutely.
and so you, what kind of groups did you attend?
Oh, so for my job, I'm always trying to find the networking event that's the best fit for me. And I will tell you, Carlos, that I feel like that this chamber is one of the best fits for me, personally and professionally, because it's more than just showing up for an event. You actually help figure out what the individual businesses and what the individuals need and what they're looking for. And you really help connect the dots between the individuals and the businesses and networking opportunities.
So hopefully we can do that in Humble, because we have someone who just joined our chamber. He owns a pizzeria, and I forgot the name of. Well, it's a Persona Wood-Fire Pizzeria, right? And he has a room in the back, as a lot of these good restaurants do, and that's where we're going to start meeting there. So Humble is coming up also. Just letting all our members know, and letting all our listeners know as well that we are expanding very quickly. Somebody was asking me, why are you so involved all over the place? And aren't chambers supposed to be localized? And I said, yes, they are local. We are localized, but it's in the whole area. It's not just one piece, So that's what makes it unique. And actually, if you want more information, you can call us, you can email us, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk just with Alicia. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions about the book and stuff. So we'll be back in 1 minute, and please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Looking for a bilingual insurance company in the Montgomery County area? Since 2006, the Amel Agency is a family-owned insurance agency, and it all started with Leonard Amel. Now working with 3 full-time agents offering home, auto, life, and umbrella insurance, the Amel Agency works with you to provide the insurance you need. Whether it be for your business or personal needs, they put that need first. The Amel Agency of the Woodlands is open Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. Call today at 832-299-6640 or email them anytime at info@amelagency.com to answer any of your questions. For more information on location and inquiries, look up Amel Agency online at amelagency.com. The Amel Agency, Montgomery County's bilingual insurance agency.
And the Amel Agency. The Amel Agency is one of our sponsors, obviously. Great friends, great people. And if you can use the Amel Agency for your insurance needs, by all means, give them a buzz. These are some great folks that do some great work, and they are very active in our chamber. They're very active in the community, and they're always making a difference. I've even seen them down in Katy. So I know for any one of our members that work up here in Conroe and the Woodlands to go to Katy, it's a big deal. I mean, that's at least an hour away. Even if you do go on 99, it's not easy to get to. So the Amel Agency has been there, and by all means, talk to them. I was going to tell you guys too this. I know our listeners, a lot of our members are listeners, and so if you're listening to this program, please understand, if you don't get an email once a month, and then a smaller email once a week telling you about all of our events, please notify me. Let me know, and I will include you in our email list. I get yelled at sometimes that people say, well, you don't include me. And I say, are you on the list? And we have to check, because you should never assume that if you're not getting the emails that I removed you. I don't remove people. That doesn't happen. So if you're not getting them, please just give me a buzz, and I'll make sure I take care of it. All right, so I wanted to tell you this, Alicia, too. As a professional services provider outside of the Chamber of Commerce, what I've done for many years is help people write books and help people, know how to speak in public and things like that, right? Clarify their message and et cetera. And it always intrigues me when somebody as young as you, how old are you? Tell people how old you are.
Well, I wrote the book when I was 11, but now I wrote the book when I was 10, but now I'm 11.
So you're 11 years old. All right, so at 11, you wrote a book. And at 10, I've got folks that are a few more times than that, a little bit older than that, who struggled along the way, or who said, you know what, I can't do this, or I can't imagine myself doing this. And the big idea with that is what made you write this book? I mean, why was it so easy for you? And I bet all of your friends at school haven't written a book.
None of my friends at school have written a book. Not really.
Mm.
But, yeah.
Why do you think it was so easy for you to do?
Well, I didn't really plan for it to be a book at first. But it was just easy because whenever I write, I make the story up as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And the story just takes me where it wants to go, it just sort of unfurls on the paper.
Okay, so your story unfurled on the paper, and so you said, okay, I'm just going to write this thing about this cheetah who goes to this place, and along the way she's going to find all kinds of adventures and cool things, etc. Right?
Right.
Okay, so how long did it take you?
Well, my whole 5th grade school year, actually.
Okay, so it took you what, a few months?
Probably about 3 months.
And so, okay, this is important because most people think you can write a book overnight. You know,
No.
that it'll be done like that, no big deal. If you were to tell somebody, okay, it's going to take you this long, what would you say to that person?
I would be like, you got to be patient when you're writing a book, especially after you've gotten your first draft and you have to go back and edit it.
Mm-hmm.
That's more long and it's more hard.
Are you listening? The reason I say this, I just said this because I have like 6 people at that point right now. They have a wonderful manuscript that they're in love with, but that's not the book. And I keep telling them, this is just, you know, a shell. Once you get into it and you go, you know, paragraph by paragraph or chapter by chapter, you'll find all kinds of stuff that you can make nicer. But that's the editing portion.
Mm-hmm.
So did you edit your own book, or do you have other people edit your book?
Well, will go back and see if I can do anything in the writing portion. Then we hired an editor to edit for like grammar mistakes and stuff.
Sure.
Like for the words.
And it's funny that everybody has those insecurities, you know? Things, oh, my grammar. And in general, I've never seen an editor say, your grammar is terrible, you need to fix. Because if you can write in general, if you can speak, okay, your grammar is not going to be that terrible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things. But I know we all, you know, and in the spelling also, I can't tell you, I've written several books, and in every one of my books, I have a typo. Terrible typo, you know? Like,
Me too.
Yeah. I'm not going to say, but, you know, I'm kidding. I didn't catch it. But in my book, for example, never mind. In my book, I wrote, my first book, the very first book I wrote, had a major typo on every page for like 10 pages. Because it was like the heading, you know? Mm-hmm. It had the chapter name, typo all the way through, and nobody caught it, not even me. So did you get into conversations like that about typos with your editor?
I do a lot of typos.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I'm just going into middle school.
Sure.
I'm not very good at it right now.
What? Very good at what? What do you mean?
Grammar.
Oh, okay. Well, but I'm telling you, look, you speak perfectly fine. So it's going to be okay. Where I would look at, instead of feeling, okay, my grammar is not as good as it should be, stay active in terms of staying with your imagination open, you know? Because you mentioned that earlier.
Right.
That imagination is the key to all this, right?
Right.
Would you say that?
Yes, imagination is the key to book.
So for some of these old timers, then what would you say if they have active imaginations but they can't write?
Then just write your ideas on paper and just put them all together.
Okay.
You just write your idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then later on you can just stick it all together.
Okay. All right. So you said you weren't expecting this to be a book. You just wanted to write like a story or something, or?
Just a short story, but it was long enough and good enough to be a book, so we decided to do it.
Okay. So you just want to write a short story just for the sake of writing a short story, or were you going to give it to somebody, or was it for your teacher, or?
It was just to like read to myself and my family.
Okay. I see. Okay. So the real reason why you're writing this book then is just for the sake of expression, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you sit down to write, what is your process? I mean, how do you get yourself into the book? Because it's so, guys, if you're listening, you have to get a copy of this book because it's amazing. Would you hold it up? Because I know that we can see it even on the camera. Hold it up. Can you see it there?
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. So, guys, if you're listening and if you're looking at the book, get a copy of this. It's such a colorful written book, and what I mean by that is language, when it's used properly, there's a lot of color you can add by adding different things to the characters and to the scenery and things like that. And you have a lot of that in your book. Did your teacher read that book? Any one of your teachers?
Well, I gave a copy to my teacher, a signed copy, because she was the one who taught me all my great writing skills. Some of them, but you know.
Well, also, I think Alicia got started with it because her teacher saw that she was good at it, and she started being invited into other classrooms to read to the other kids.
Wow.
And so that
yeah.
really encouraged her to continue to write and really encouraged her to publish the book, is because the teachers noticed this talent. In fact, they called us after hours and said, your daughter has a talent. We would like to get her into a reading and writing club. So
Very good. Wow. So now you're in the reading and writing club, teaching people how to write books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, Now, for Aaron, I mean, you must be a very proud father of what you've seen here.
I am. I'm very proud. One of the things for me is I always teach my kids never to say the word can't.
Okay.
Like I always encourage them to figure out a way to do it. And so Alicia is just a good example of showing that if you put your mind to something, that you can do it.
Sure, absolutely. And the bigger idea is if you put your mind to something and you have support.
Yep.
Because that's a big deal. A lot of kids don't have their parents' support. I mean, your dad works with kids like that who didn't get that pat on the back or that, okay, you can do this type thing, Tell us a little bit more than Alicia. When you would sit down and write, how much time would you write at a time? I mean, because some of our members that are doing, or some of my clients that write, they sit down for 1 hour and want to get the whole book done in 1 hour.
No, I take as long as it needs to.
Ooh, okay. What do you mean? Tell me, what do you mean? Like a chapter?
Like a chapter wouldn't, it depends on how long you want to make the chapter and how detailed you want it to be. So if you want it to be like a super, super good book, you're probably going to have to spend a long time.
Okay. So like for the next book you're writing, 'cause somebody told us you're writing another book. Okay. Are you taking more time or less time?
Probably more time.
So you make it a good book.
Right, because your books just become better because you have more experience with what you want to do.
Sure.
Like the second book, I'm probably going to plan it out because the first book, I just made it up as I went.
You didn't plan it out?
And not really. I just sort of had an idea and went with it.
Yeah.
Where I had to go back a lot and revise it and edit it. So I don't want to do as much of that.
Right.
So I'm going to actually plan it out as I go.
So, and then that's kind of, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so now her focus is rather than writing pages after page, she's actually taking the time to make an outline.
Sure.
So when she comes up with an idea, she adds it to her outline. And so I think that's really helping her a lot.
That's actually the process that we teach our clients. The bigger idea with what we teach that I'm hearing you say is that the book has to have an objective, right? There's got to be a purpose for, when the reader reads it, what are they going to get? And when you have that in mind, then everything you write is designed to sort of help them get that, Even if it's to get entertainment or a fun story or stuff like that, the more precise you are like that way, that's like you said, it helps you write it faster. But you already wrote it so fast. I mean, you're 11 years old and you have a published book. That's a big deal. I mean, I'm not sure if you understand, and maybe you do, but I'm not sure what a big deal it is to have that in your hands. Aaron, what would you say? I mean, how's her future unfolding before your eyes, just for the fact that she's written a book?
Well, for me, I grew up in a very small town, and there was a lot of things that I never had an opportunity to do things. And so for me, I want to give my kids every opportunity I possibly can to do things. And so when she said that she wanted to write a book, I was going to support her in that.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to do it myself, but if we could reach out to other people to help, then I wanted to help encourage that. And I can see her passion, and I'll tell you what, when she goes to college, it'll be a neat opportunity for her to say, I wrote my first book when I was 10 years old, and
So
I've been on the radio, and I've done all these cool things.
And pictures and stuff. And she would already have at least 5 or 6 books by then. Until she meets boys. And then that'll be, who knows then maybe you'll become a romantic novelist or something, Who knows?
Well, talk about a resume, though, right there.
For
I
sure.
mean, going into, job interviews and stuff, that's awesome. I mean, to say
incredible.
that you accomplished that.
So you said that when you grow up, well, that was my phrasing, but you said that later in life, you want to become an author.
A famous author.
A famous author, not just an author, a famous author.
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of books do you think you want to write back, later?
Probably I'm going to still stick with children's books. That's like my specialty.
At this point.
But probably I don't really like adult books that much.
Not yet. Let me tell you why. The lady that wrote Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Do you like the Harry Potter books?
Yes.
She's like a bazillionaire now. She was, I think, like 50-something when she wrote the first book. Right? So she was already up there. And look at that imagination that she had as well. So the idea that I've heard so far from you also, Alicia, is that your imagination is very important in all this. Did you ever run out of imagination and have like writer's block?
Sometimes I get stumped.
And what do you do in that case? What do you recommend somebody do? Because you got to teach us. Come on, we're old timers that don't know what we're doing.
You just think about it.
Okay.
You can like draw a picture to help you think. Like you can just. Sometimes drawing pictures actually helps me. Like I draw what I want to write.
Right.
And then I put it all down on paper. That sometimes helps.
Go ahead.
I was going to also say is she also realizes when she's in that zone for writing, she'll move herself aside and she'll start writing. And so, for example, when she's at school, while most of the kids in the playground are playing basketball or whatever, she'll actually have a little notebook and she'll be writing notes when she's in that zone. And that's why she always carries this purse, and inside the purse she carries her little notebook so she can write down stories and ideas that she has.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, you have a process then already set up for this. If I want to get a copy of your book, where do I go?
You can go to Amazon.com and search the title, Journey to Dandon Forest, up in the search bar.
Journey to Dandon Forest. It even sounds like a movie. Journey to Dandon Forest, you can get it on Amazon. I'm talking to Alicia Javiner. She is an author, a published author. She's 11 years old. She wrote this book when she was 10. She's writing another book, a few other books, and she's got a lot more to offer. We're going to talk more to her, with her. As soon as we get back from break, we'll also talk to Aaron Javiner with Ser Niños Charter School when we come back. We'll be right back.
Looking for a bilingual insurance company in the Montgomery County area? Since 2006, the Amell Agency is a family-owned insurance agency, and it all started with Leonard Amell. Now working with 3 full-time agents offering home, auto, life, and umbrella insurance, the Amell Agency works with you to provide the insurance you need. Whether it be for your business or personal needs, they put that need first. The Amell Agency of the Woodlands is open Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. Call today at 832-299-6640 or email them anytime at info@amellagency.com to answer any of your questions. For more information on location and inquiries, look up Amell Agency online at amellagency.com. The Amell Agency, Montgomery County's bilingual insurance agency.
And welcome back. This is Dr. Carlos Sanchez. This is the Hispanic Chamber Connection Radio Show. We are live from the great city of Conroe, Texas. We're overlooking Main Street. Although the blinds are closed, I can still tell what's out there at Main Street, Conroe.
It's too bright out today.
It sure is. It's terribly bright. And you haven't given the weather. Are you going to give the weather at any point?
No, not right now. We're doing some modifications to our scheduling.
Okay. So you're not doing that. No wonder. Because it's the bottom of the hour, I thought you would take more time to do your thing, but okay. So we're talking to Aaron Javiner with Ser Niños Charter School. He's the Director of Development, and he brought his daughter with him today, and he's the proud father of the one author, Alicia Javiner, who's written a book called Journey to Dandon Forest, Music. Okay, so it sounds like something ominous and all, but it's not. It's a fun book. It's a great book about this one cheetah. What's the cheetah's name? Alice. Alice the cheetah is the one taking this journey to Dandon Forest.
Yes.
And she meets all kinds of things along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Dragons and stuff.
Don't spoil it.
Well, some monsters, so to speak. Nonetheless, by the time she gets to Dandon Forest, she has learned all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Life skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Journey to Dandon Forest. Hold it up against it. The camera can see it, please. That book you can get the book for only
$6.99
on
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. So get a good look at it. Journey to Dandon Forest. If you're listening, we would love for you to go on Amazon right now and get a copy. And if you show up at the right time to our chamber event when Alicia is going to be featured as one of our speakers, you can get your book autographed.
Right.
Very good. And there'll be different events. So we'll do this. We can do this in the Woodlands-Conroe. We can do it in I don't know, Vintage Park. We can do it in Katy. There's different places. But the problem is, when are you going back to school?
I don't know.
Well, I think she knows, but she just doesn't want to admit.
She's
She only
blocking
has
it.
2 weeks left of school.
2 weeks left?
Yeah, 2 weeks left of
Can't
summer.
believe there's only 2 weeks left.
And you have to go back. So have you been like busy writing another book, or are you just hanging out? What are you doing this summer?
Well, I'm always writing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really not writing.
Mm-hmm. So what else are you doing in the summer? Just writing, or have you been?
Well, we went on a vacation to Utah.
Okay.
Visit our aunt and uncle.
Was that fun?
Super fun.
Were you able to write during the in the car and stuff, or?
Not really. We were busy doing other things on vacation.
Okay.
So I took a little break from writing.
And did it help your imagination when you were out?
Mm-hmm.
It does, right? So you also mentioned earlier that when you finished the manuscript, the first manuscript, you stepped away from it a little bit, and you gave it to an editor to do your second sort of to do the editing with more changes.
Right.
So how long did it take you to finally say, this is it? This is what I'm going to do? To before you said, I'm publishing it.
Still my whole 5th grade school year and a little bit of this year. Just a teeny bit, though.
Okay. But was it hard to decide what to publish? Like so many changes and so much stuff? Or did you already say, okay, this is all I'm doing? Did you reach that point?
I think there was a point where mom and dad just said, okay, Alicia, this is it. This is your book. Because, I think at that point, she had maybe even a little bit overthought the whole book. And so with encouragement, we just said, hey, we brought it to the editor. We've done everything we can. This is your book.
Done. And that's a big lesson.
Yeah.
A lesson for those of you listening. That's lesson number 2. 1, plan your book. 2, know when you're done.
Know when you're done.
Don't overthink it.
Right.
Mary. So anyway, all right. So we won't. And I say that with a lot of love, but Mary has not overthought. I'm sorry, Mary. I didn't mean to say overthought. She has been analyzing her book for some time now, and that can take you. See, the reason why a lot of authors are able to publish is because they have publishers that say, we're not going to pay you unless you meet this deadline, and you have to have your book done by then, and then that's it. Once it's done, it's done.
I was just going to say, for us, the big deadline is we were invited by NHPO to come to one of their events and do a book signing.
Sure.
And at that point when we were invited, we did not have a published book. And so that was our deadline. Like we knew that we needed to have that book done and published and in our hands so we could get to that.
Very
book
good.
signing.
Now, do you have credit card processing possibility? I mean, are you able to process credit cards on your iPhone?
Well, my mom has a PayPal here thing.
PayPal, a PayPal thing, but what about this? Do you have this little thing?
Yes, we do.
I'm putting it a square, and that's just one of many.
Yep.
Okay, so because when we bring you over to the chamber to our events and stuff, I want to be sure that you can get the money like that. I mean, put it through the processing system. So you bring your team with you, your mom and dad. Yes. Mm-hmm. So you basically speak and sell, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So in essence, then, when you talk to people in a group, I think the adults or the folks like myself are more interested. I mean, we're interested obviously in your book, but we're more interested in figuring out how can I do the same thing you just did, or how can my kids do the same thing that you just did? How do you talk to, like, if you wanted to inspire a group of kids your age to write a book, what would you tell them? Would you tell them it's easy? Would you tell them, like, what kind of words would you have for them?
I would just tell them the first part's easy, but then you gotta put a lot of thought into it. You gotta get the details right. You gotta adapt your characters. You have to make it the best book you possibly can do. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take just an hour. It takes a really long time to do it. So you gotta be really patient with it.
Don't say really, really. It takes a while.
Right, a while.
I mean, you don't want to scare them away or anything, but it does take a long time. It's just because you want a good book. Mm-hmm. And it's not something people do every day. So that's a big deal. I mean, I know that it's a big deal having written that book. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Alicia, I think, has been focusing a lot on how long it took her to write the book, but I have to also mention that when she had her first 2 book signings in one day, the next day we asked her how that was, and she said it was the best day of her life. Yeah. So I also want to there's also a lot of really high points in writing a book.
Oh, no question.
Once you've actually seen the final product and you've sold it and you started building momentum and excitement, it's really fun.
So there you go. So, okay. So we have a couple of things real quick. One, of course, is to understand that if you're going to write a book, plan your book. Right? Spend some time planning it. Yes? Mm-hmm. And number 2, what was number 2? Make sure you can take money when you go out and promote your book.
I thought it was knowing when the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was the end. It was
when it was finished.
And number 3 is know when you're done. Be done. And that's such a major deal. I'm telling you, just so many people just can't be done. With anything, especially with writing, because they want to get it perfect, and this and that has to happen. And before you know it, you overstay your deadlines, and so it's good. All right. So, Alicia, are there ever any days when you don't feel like writing?
Well, not really, unless I'm having a really, really bad day. Then, on really, really bad days, I actually write more because it relaxes me.
Okay. Wow. All right. So number 4 would be, instead of doing yoga or exercise, write.
And read.
Read and write. Okay. Very good. Well, thanks for being on the show, Alicia. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And we'll talk a little bit But before that, we finish. I want to talk to your dad just for a little bit about his school and stuff.
Sure.
The adult things. Okay. All right. Erin Javiner, Director of Development, Sarah Niños Charter School. Your school is very inspirational to a lot of our members of the Chamber of Commerce, and we love that you're a member, especially because you work with at-risk youth, at-risk Hispanic youth. What kind of programs do you provide to the kids?
So first of all, we are a dual language curriculum, so it's English and Spanish. But also we're pre-K through 8th grade. But actually, when they go into 7th grade, they actually also start to learn French. So they get introduced to a third language.
French.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I do not know.
That's all right. The French, okay, we'll say, go ahead.
But also, it's more than just the dual language education. It's also providing the hope that they need and meeting them where they're at and helping them to meet their basic needs so that they can focus on their education.
Sure. So how many students do you guys have in your school right now?
A little over 1,100 kids in pre-K through 8th grade.
1,100?
1,100.
I thought it was just like 13 or 14 at some point. I'm not sure why I got that idea. So 1,100 kids, and all right, and so being a business development person yourself,
Yes.
what is it that your function? What in essence, what is it that you do for the school?
So if I were to really boil it down to what I do, it's really about building relationships for the school. The school's been around for about 20 years, but just recently we've been putting a focus on forming relationships and partnerships with individuals and specifically with businesses that want to support what we do and help these at-risk Hispanic youth succeed.
Okay, so in essence then, you go out and look for people who want to support your school and do so in different ways.
Yeah, and so really what I always tell them is there's really not one way that you can help the school. I like to sit down with them and find out what they're looking for and try to connect the dots. And if I can't personally help them, I'll try to connect the dots with someone else at the school who can.
I see. Okay, very good. Well, this is very interesting. When we come back from break, we'll talk a lot more, Erin, about the Sarah Niños Charter School. And we'll also talk to Alicia Javiner when we come right back. And so we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Looking for a bilingual insurance company in the Montgomery County area? Since 2006, the Amel Agency is a family-owned insurance agency, and it all started with Leonard Amel. Now working with 3 full-time agents offering home, auto, life, and umbrella insurance, the Amel Agency works with you to provide the insurance you need. Whether it be for your business or personal needs, they put that need first. The Amel Agency of the Woodlands is open Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. Call today at 832-299-6640 or email them anytime at info@amelagency.com to answer any of your questions. For more information on location and inquiries, look up Amel Agency online at amelagency.com. The Amel Agency, Montgomery County's bilingual insurance agency.
And we're back with the Hispanic Chamber Connection radio program featuring members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We are the Woodlands-Conroe Hispanic Chamber. We're also the Vintage Park, the Katy, the Galleria, and the Heights Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today we're with Erin Javiner. Erin is with the Sarah Niños Charter School. He's the Director of Development. Erin, could you tell us a little bit about the school and a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So at Sarah Niños Charter School, we believe that all kids, regardless of their social or economic status, deserve the same opportunities to succeed. And so we help about 1,100 at-risk Hispanic youth in pre-K through 8th grade through a dual language curriculum.
Very good. And Erin, would you introduce our special guest, if you would, please?
Absolutely. This is my daughter, Alicia. And Alicia is an author, and she published her first book at 10 years old.
10 years old, author. The book is called Journey to Dandan Forest. Alicia, would you tell us just a little bit about the book and where we can get it?
Well, you can get this book at Amazon.com if you type up the title in the search bar. Well, the book is about a young cheetah named Alice who goes on a quest to save her mom from an awful dragon, and along the way she faces challenges, meets new friends, and even learns a bit of magic.
Even learns a bit of magic. I'm going to have to ask you more about that, Alicia, but I think it's a really interesting book for sure. The cheetah's name is Alice. It's a cheetah. And to learn more about this book, please go to Amazon.com right now. It's Journey to Dandan Forest, and it's only $6.99.
Yes.
And get it today. So we're going to go ahead and continue with the program for now. Thank you, Alicia. You can put it down. and continue asking Aaron. Aaron, there's a few other things about the school that I think are really important. And first of all, your target market, or the target folks that you're working with right now, you have something designed specifically for that group.
So specifically, we're located in the Gulfton area, which has a very high population of Hispanic individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are dual language, so it is English and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is when they graduate from 8th grade that they will be fluent in both.
Okay, and then you said that they also learn French at some point, right?
Yes, at least introduced to it.
Okay, so for now, though, English and Spanish.
Yes.
And are there any other programs that are associated with that you do? I mean, do you have extracurricular things like sports and stuff like that?
So we do have after-school programming. We do have sports. Our students are very proud of the fact that they love to play flag football, volleyball, basketball, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we do have a lot of after-school programs because we are there not only during the day, but if any of our students need help, we want to make sure that our teachers are there to help support them so that they can get the most of their education. And that's even at night during the week, and also we have some weekend programs.
Wow. So, and are you affiliated with any of the local colleges, like Lone Star College or the Houston Community College system or anything like that?
So one thing I do know is that when they go into 8th grade is that our teachers really have a focus not only of transitioning them into high school, but also they want to introduce them to colleges.
Yes.
So I do know that they do go on field trips to various colleges to try to get them at least interested in the idea of going to college someday.
Okay, so if I'm an organization and I'm listening, if let's say, for example, I'm Planet Forward or I'm some other organization, and I want to get involved with you, what do I need to do? I mean, do I reach out to you? How do I make that happen?
Sure. One of the ways you could do it is just by going to our website, cerniños.org. You could also call our school directly and talk to me, and I'd be happy to help. Mm-hmm. But really, my goal is to try to figure out how we can work together. We have a couple of projects right now we're working on. One of the big projects that we're really excited about is we are actually building a library for the at-risk Hispanic youth that we serve in the community, but also it's going to be open to the entire community in the Gulfton area.
Okay.
And we're crossing our fingers that we're going to be doing a ribbon cutting later this fall. And so there are still some opportunities if you'd like to be involved in that library project, if you like reading or believe in helping kids.
So you said the website is Cerninos or Cerniños? I mean, there's no tilde, is there?
No, SERNINOS.org.
Right. Okay, so Ninos,
Yes.
so to speak. I mean, well, because I heard it a little bit in Spanish, I thought, okay, that might not fly.
I may be one of the few people who actually is not fluent in Spanish that works at the school.
Yeah, what do they say about you when they learn that you're like a gringo? I'm sure it's not a big deal, but what impact does that have on people?
They usually ask me my connection to the school.
Yeah.
And what I'll tell them is my wife is Hispanic, and also I'm very proud of the fact that I have 3 kids that are actually in a Spanish immersion program.
Okay, so hablas español, Alicia?
Un poquito.
Wow, very good. That was a very good response. Okay, that means poquito, as everybody knows, is a little, and that's all you need to say. So as long as you can write a whole book, you're fine. You're perfect. So, okay, let me talk to something else there, and I wanted to ask you with regard to the school, is bigger organizations like government. Do you guys work with them as well, like cities and like this? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say we are very, very grateful for the city of Houston. We have a lot of partnerships, but specifically the city of Houston, they are one of our major sponsors for our library through their community and housing development program through the city of Houston. And so they were the ones who really helped to spearhead this whole project so we could build a library for the community.
Okay, so the school's been around for 20 years.
Yes.
And your wife and yourself you both work with the school?
So my wife doesn't. I do. My wife actually, she works very hard staying home with my kids.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there you go. So in the school itself, how large is the faculty there? I mean, how many people do you have working there?
We have about 100 teachers, and one of the things I will tell you is that I think one of the reasons why our school is so successful is because we have teachers that are so dedicated to the program and so dedicated to helping these at-risk youth. And I'm constantly amazed at these teachers. And also our superintendent has been around almost since the beginning and has seen it grow to what it is today.
Okay. And so what kind of success stories do you guys have? And what kind of things have emerged from the school after all this time?
So there are a lot of success stories. Sometimes it's very simple ones, but also, one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to track our students as they leave our school and continue to go on. And we have a couple students that have actually received scholarships and went on to Ivy League schools, which is a really big deal because at the time, these students were considered at risk of graduating from high school.
Right.
And so that would probably be some of the biggest successes we
For
have.
sure. So have they ever come back and just talked to the other kids, or well, you have to track them down first, right?
Yeah, well, so we have to track them down, but actually next month we're working on an activity, and we're going to start inviting back some of our alumni because one of the things we want to do is we want to inspire these kids and help them to realize that they can reach their dreams and their full potential, and hopefully that these alumni can share their stories about how they succeeded.
So if somebody wants to reach out and get a hold of you, it's sirninos.org.
Yes, that is correct.
And the phone number? What's the phone number?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'll get back to you in just one second.
That's cool. Well, I want to ask for email or for Facebook, but okay.
No, I can give you my email address. That's no problem. It's A Javner, J-A, V as in Victor, E-N-E-R, at sirninos.org. And to be honest with you, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me too, because just like you, I'm always out in the community. I'm always out doing things. But I usually do a really good job of getting back to people with my email. So
within 24 hours?
Within 24 hours. I do my best.
Okay. All right. So I see you've wrote some things and you're prepared. I want to be sure we answer the questions that you want answered today as well.
So I did bring a little bit of information, and the information I brought was really just about the school, but specifically it was about the library, because that's, I think, what's on everybody's mind. And one of the things that's interesting is there are a lot of things that I cannot personally take credit for the library. We had a lot of fantastic people that were involved in this whole process. But some of the reasons behind the library was, one is there's just no library in the community right now.
Wow.
And the other thing is the ratio of books to students. It's one book for every 300 kids.
Well, what do they have, 5 books? That's nothing. That's
So we have a small library at our school, but what we found is that when our library is closed during the summertime, these students just don't have access to books.
Wow.
And we're trying to completely change that. And so our superintendent, her philosophy is to try to get to 20 books for every student. So
Sure. So right now you're taking donations.
yes, we're taking donations, but also it's more than just donations. It's about what are some other ways that you would like to volunteer? And sometimes it could be as simple as introducing us to someone that can help.
So, all right, but for example, the members that are listening right now, they can either donate books or figure out a way to give you guys a donation or an introduction, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different ways. They could either make a donation directly to the school, they can make a donation specific to library, or if they would like to put together a book drive, I'd be happy to talk to them about doing a book drive to try to get books for the school.
Well, maybe even the book drive featuring an author.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and we definitely are going to try to get her book into that new library. So
for sure, and the bigger idea with that too is that's a lot of exposure, and she's able to talk to a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all right, so we have a couple of minutes left. So I want to make sure that we get all the information that you've wanted to share with the public out. Is there anything else that I didn't ask? Because I'm more interested in Alicia, to be honest.
Well, and then I'm sure Alicia would like any extra time that you have to talk about her book. I think the main thing that I would just want to get across to everybody who's listening today is that we've been around for about 20 years, but our focus just in the last year is really on building those community partnerships and relationships. And one of the easiest and probably the first steps is, if you're interested, we'd love to have you come and tour our school. And it's really exciting because when you come for a tour right now, you can also see the new library that's being built.
Sure.
And so that I would love to have people come. We do tours on the second Tuesday of every month at 8:30 a.m. at our school.
Okay, and to do all that, they have to reach out to you. That's ajaviner at sirninos.org.
That's correct.
Okay, Alicia,
Yes.
what else is going on? Are you writing another book right now?
Well, I have lots of different ideas going on, but I don't know if they're going to be the actual second book.
Okay, but is there a second book in the works?
Yes. My second goal is to make a second book.
Very good.
I think she's building a lot of suspense because in her first book, all she wanted to do was talk about her book she was writing. And now that she's got these ideas for the second book, she's really trying to keep it to herself.
Yeah.
She's trying to build this excitement
I don't want to
momentum.
spoil it.
Yes, she's a big shot now. She's an author, so there you go.
Is the second book going to be a sequel or an independent?
Yeah.
Sequel.
There you go.
Oh, she just gave it away.
So there you go. So we're here with Aaron Javiner, Cerro Niños Charter School. He's the director of development, and his wonderful daughter, Alicia Javiner. Journey to Dandan Forest. Get that on Amazon.com today. This is Dr. Carlos Sanchez with the Hispanic Chamber Connection Radio program. Signing off. We'll see you guys again next week. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show is recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.